What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Sharpen the Public. As always, I'm your host, Deej, back again with my co-host, Andy. We missed a week, Andy. We missed you last week, but Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Hopefully you had a good time with your family, as I did with my family and friends. Good to see you again. You get anything fun for Christmas?
Oh, the usual. Just some clothes, a new suitcase,
Nice.
among other things, some money. The usual adult gifts, I would say. What about you? Did you get anything fun?
I got some new clothes. I got a bunch of books, which is pretty exciting. And Amanda, my girlfriend, got me this chair, so they're in much better chair.
I was gonna say the chair does look different.
It's a way better, much more efficient for the back. But
you got an Eagles win for Christmas too, until they dropped the ball a couple days ago.
Yeah, obviously I was at that game against the Giants and was very weary for anyone that wanted to back the Eagles against the Cardinals, and that showed face because they absolutely suck, and I'm very nervous for the playoffs. But the Colts, on the other hand, I mean, they're making a push for it.
We are and we are in against the Texans, and the spread is a lot closer than I thought it would be. I think it's a big CJ Stroud factor. Everyone and their mother's betting on the Texans, so you know what I'm probably going to do, but we'll touch on that when we get there. It's a Saturday game, too, so we have 2 Saturday games this week, as well as our usual plethora of Sunday games with 14 Sunday matchups. No Thursday Night Football, no Monday Night Football, plain and simple, just straightforward weekend ball, setting the playoff slate for us. So I can't believe we're here already. This year has gone by insanely fast, especially this fall. I feel like we were just setting up for the football season a few weeks ago, and now we're already in week 18. So that's pretty absurd.
Yeah, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And we're definitely going to run through the trends again here quickly, but we have a lot of games to get through. So we'll try and run through them pretty quickly so we can hit all the games. But I just want to say a special shout out to, all the players that are still in fantasy football in week 18. May you rest in peace. I apologize if your league
find another league.
If your league still plays this week. I won my fantasy league last week, and I'm over the moon about it. Thank you. Yes, everyone wants to hear about it. I know. I appreciate it. I'm better than all of you.
Yeah, my Christmas present was I lost 2 semifinals. So
that's brutal.
Cheers.
You go in expecting that you're going to get out with at least one, and then you get out with none. That's pretty terrible.
Yep. Had the best team in one league, and then went all in to try to win in Dynasty, selling some of my future assets just to fall short. So it's gut wrenching, but it's all right. We'll compensate for it by winning our bets this week. So we at least have that to look forward to.
Exactly. I'm still on this run, Andy, where I can't get off of 500. I went 3-3 again. So I need to do something different. I don't know what the hell is going on. Something's got to change.
Yeah, I'm sure some noticed. I took a break last week, so I did not give out anything. But my actual record itself is above 500, but my actual money, like gained and lost, is pretty close to 500 as well, which sucks. So I think that we're just in time to kind of turn this thing around for the playoffs. Do you have anything interesting about the playoffs to preface as we're starting to prep to get there? I feel like some of these games we're going to talk about, a lot of these teams are already shifting focus there, whether they are just completely mailing it in at the end of the season now, or sitting guys because their spot is secure.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about the upcoming schedule and like who's playing who and who's definitely not playing. Like Lamar is set to not really play this week against the Steelers, and that's one of the reasons the Steelers are favored in Baltimore this weekend. But we'll talk about it as we go through all the games. I want to run through all these trends real quickly, and we won't beat dead horses here because this is the stuff we talk about all year. But just to run through the Week 17 trends, Public went 9-7 ATS. Money percentage went 11-5 ATS, which is exciting because that's kind of what we said would happen in this latter half of the season. And then Sharp Differential went 7-9 ATS, which is honestly a bit surprising, and we've talked about that. Public on the over 6-4, Public on the under 3-3. So the big story news is like the Public and the overs are really just hitting well at the end of the season. 9-7 towards the over this week, and then it was heavy towards the overs last week as well at 11-5. So interesting end to the season, especially even as totals are getting slightly higher. Like the average total this week was 42.1.
Yeah, and I feel like those are going to start to trend up as we get closer to the playoffs because it seems like a lot of the best teams this year are not holding super special defenses. The only 2 teams who I have defenses that I feel like you can rely on nowadays are the two that are going to be the favorites to go to the Super Bowl, right? Between the Niners and the Ravens. Every other defense, you can pick apart a couple of positions, or you can look at a team like the Dolphins, where you can just pick apart the entire defense. So there's other teams too, obviously like the Cowboys, for example, where for a fact whenever they go up in a big game that they have a horrible record in the big games this year, similar to the Dolphins. So
right.
That's something to take into account as we head into the playoffs. Week 18 is always a little tricky to navigate, so I might sit on the sideline for a lot of these, to be honest, or just lack a lot of analysis because there's not too much to give for some of these.
You might want to listen to this, Andy. Week 18 last year, 2022, the public went 11-5 ATS. So somehow the public really just understood what was going to happen and kind of took everything into account there. So that's very interesting and something of note. Money percentage also went 10-6. So a lot of things to look forward to in Week 18, I think, especially since the public's done so well this year. Maybe they're just slated to have another good year betting in the last games of the year. Public also went 4-8 on the over and 1-3 on the under. So maybe they just don't know what's going to happen total-wise, but they know it's going to happen spread-wise.
Yeah, I don't put a lot of weight into that because I think that there are some there's going to be some exceptions this year just based on the games at hand, right? There's always going to be different unique situations heading into every Week 18. And another one that I want to put to bed right now before we get started is the whole contract incentive discussion. Do not start betting on player props because somebody has a contract incentive to hit a certain number. The team is not going to actively go out and do them a favor. There's narratives out there that teams should. It's the right thing to do to build culture. There's also narratives out there that they're not going to because then they have to spend extra money. It's all bullshit. And do not listen to anybody on Twitter that might make those claims. I saw some guy who's some DFS personality on Twitter had a huge thread about this, and it was all debunked by Rob Pizzola at BetStamp. I thought Rob did a really good job with that. So I would check out his Twitter if you want to see him completely debunk that entire theory. And I will not be putting any weight into it whatsoever. So fuck the incentives. And I'm not going to back the public this week just because they've had a good year, because I think that the public is I think this is actually a prime spot for them to slip up. I'm going to zag when everything this year says to back the public, and the public did really well last year. I'm going to zag.
I love it. I love being contrarian. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to make money in sports betting. So one thing I want to make of note right now is some of our totals from some of our futures from the beginning of the year are actually starting to hit, like my George Pickens over cashed, Chris Olave cashed. So keep that in mind as we, check your futures bets, and hopefully you guys are getting some more money in your accounts. But what about you?
Yeah. My underdog is about to be over $1,000 from all those futures that I did, and they were just like $20 bets. So my theory that I had worked, where instead of just ripping like a season prop for $20 on a sports book and having to lay the juice over the summer, which is hard unless you actively follow baseball or summer league or one of the other, or UFC. You're limited in what you could pair it with over the summer when the season props were available on Underdog. But the theory was that you pair two legs that you like. So you're really just doing a 2-leg parlay to activate then a season-long prop at 5-1 odds, because Underdog pays out. It's a 6x multiplier, but you really just get your wager back. DeAndre Swift, higher than 4.5 rushing TDs, bang. Traylon Burks, lower than 825.5 receiving yards, bang. Thielen was our big one. That was 2 units. Higher than
you nailed that.
575.5 receiving yards. He hit that one like halfway through the season. George Pickens, like you said, I love that one. I wrote that one with you. Our guy, Russ, I mean, Sean Payton made the call and benched him for us, but he wasn't even going to come close even if he played the final 2 games. Lower than 3,800.5 yards. I don't know if I gave that one out yet or not. I don't know if we ended up recording that. And then, Deshaun Watson, lower than 11.5 interceptions. That one cashed several weeks ago as well. Shout out Joe Flacco. The Justin Herbert one's a little tough, but yeah,
it's ebbs and flows. Of fun. Ebbs and flows, and I'm glad we had a lot of fun.
There's a couple others in there that I didn't give out either. I was just kind of letting them fly, because you could also, if there was throughout the summer, there's specials the Underdog does too. So you just pair it with a special, pair it with one leg that you like, and then have a season long prop at a 5-1 odds, which is awesome. So we've been rocking with Underdog for almost a year now. Make sure to use promo code happy hour to get 100% match up to $100 in your first deposit. I love playing their drafts on there. I've been cooking on their NBA drafts. I have to fill out a tax form because I have won so much money in their NBA drafts. So that's going to be fun to do in the coming weeks.
That's a good thing. I love that for you. Yeah, I mean, we didn't end up recording every division over the offseason, but we did put out a bunch of our futures for the divisions that we did record for. So we'll be talking about those probably at some point during the playoffs. But let's roll through the rest of these totals to date trends through 17 weeks. Public 138 and 110, 28 games over 500, 56% win percentage. Still, they've been consistent at that number pretty much the last couple of weeks. Still really good above 60%. So you don't need to be worried about any public betting trends really that you see this year. It's kind of like public has done well and they've stayed consistent throughout the year. Public on the over has improved significantly since the midpoint of the season at 69 and 76 now. Nice, which is a 48% win percentage. And that's just impressive. We kind of called that would happen. Not necessarily called it, but kind of inflicted that, this might happen as overs continue to ramp up. Public on the under 57 and 46, which is a little worse than it was last year, but still a 55% win percentage. Running through everything, money percentage now 135 and 113. That's a 54% win percentage. We've kind of predicted that to get up to 55. I'm not sure it will get there. We'll see what happens in week 18, but that's cool to see. Sharp differential on the other side has gone backwards, obviously, with a 7 and 9 week, 126 and 122 at 51% win percentage over the course of the season. Kind of crazy that, this is one of the reasons that we talk about it on Sharpen the Public and why I love touting us, but, if you didn't know anything about public betting data or whatever, and you go into the Action Network and you see, the sharp differential, supposedly the money is supposed to be better than the public and everything about that narrative. And then you go to look at the trends this year and it shows that this public is 5% better than that number. You would never know that unless the data was talked about. So it's fascinating that while it's weird maybe that it's happening, it's important to make light of it.
Yeah. I still just see tweets all over the place about the public or fading the public, and it's so funny. I tweeted a few people, like I'd said I would 2 episodes ago, asking why they were fading the public when the public was, I think it was 27 games over 500 the last, or 2 episodes ago, or whatever it was. I had to listen back to make sure I gave out the right number when I was tweeting it out. But yeah, I was not the most popular guy, but I was starting to drive the point home.
There you go. I appreciate it. You're doing the Lord's work. I love that. Run through everything. Money percentage on the under 83 and 70, sharp differential on the under 107 and 85. Money percentage on the over 47 and 50, sharp percentage on the over 31 and 26, which is actually pretty good. So that's now a 54% win percentage. So that's cool. But again, we talk about these numbers weekly. Same trends, still really nothing outgoing there. I want to talk about the games, Andy. What about you?
Yeah, I'm ready to go in. Like I said, I might lack some analysis in some of these because of the circumstances, but there are several here that could be fun and some lines that'll really make your head scratch as well.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting week. Let's start with the Steelers, -3.5 in Baltimore. Obviously, Ravens have clinched the number 1 overall seed. They have no motivation to win this game, while the Steelers, I believe, are fighting for a playoff spot. So
correct.
That's the storyline. Obviously, the Ravens are now underdogs. 57% of the bets on Baltimore and 96% of the money. 39% sharp differential. I love it. I love the Ravens +4. What are you going to say?
Yeah, I have no problem with still backing the Ravens, despite not having Lamar. They've historically still done fairly well with Tyler Huntley. And Pittsburgh has a lot of stuff that still has to happen for them to make the playoffs. Not saying that they're not going to try. They're still going to try to make it. But this offense has floundered all season long. This offense has been really tough to watch. They've had to figure out who they're going to run at running back between Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, and they can't figure it out. I mean, Jaylen Warren I thought has been pretty good, but Najee Harris is still getting a light of day. Pittsburgh needs to win, plus either Buffalo loss, Jacksonville loss or tie, Houston or Indy tie. So Houston and Indy are playing each other, so they'll know that one Saturday night if they get the win. Or they tie plus a Jacksonville loss plus a Houston Indy not ending in a tie. Or Jacksonville loses, Denver wins, Houston Indy doesn't end in a tie. So there's one out of the 5 scenarios for them to make the playoffs. where they don't have to win. They have to win.
Yeah. It'll be interesting for me.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for me to see where the public lies on this come Sunday, because right now with the Ravens kind of being favored by the tickets is interesting. It makes it almost a little bit obvious. I would more expect the public to come in and on the Steelers and be like, okay, the team has to win in order to get in. People are going to want to bet that. But I think it'll be curious for us to kind of take note of and be like, okay, maybe the public is getting smarter or whatever, kind of in line with what's happened over the course of this year. Obviously, they've been doing better. Obviously, with the outcome, we won't know. But the other side of the storyline is Tyler Huntley is more than capable, like you talked about. Like we saw him last year nearly beat Joe Burrow and the Bengals in a playoff game in Cincinnati. And now you still get most of the Ravens defense at home. I think they're going to be, like you said, looking for incentives maybe, or trying to find ways to win.
Yeah, that's the part that I feel like we need to hear more about before Saturday. Like how many of these guys on defense are going to actually play? Because this defense has been special this season. This defense has been one that actually was able to stop what many people thought was an unstoppable force in the 49ers. So I don't know why they would let any of these guys play, incentive or not, because the biggest incentive of them all is sitting at the end of the season when all they have to do is win 3 games because they have to bye. So
yeah, exactly. So they have the bye next week. So like, why not sit? Why not play this week and stay healthy? Yeah, there's that whole set too.
There should be so many more guys that are going to sit for the Ravens, which in its current state, as we record here Wednesday night, I totally understand loving the Ravens with just the Huntley announcement, but we still got to wait for a lot of other guys to be announced. Agreed. Because I think there's a lot of other stuff to weigh in on before you can confidently place it back. Because I guarantee that Huntley's not going to be the only backup playing in this game. There's going to be a lot more of players that are going to be sitting.
100%. But yeah, at the end of the day, situationally, I like an AFC North divisional home dog against Mason Rudolph any day of the week. And it's not like there's not the history between Harbaugh and Tomlin here. It's not a Tomlin favored on the road spot, you know.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, I think it's one of the biggest rivalries in the NFL, the Steelers and Ravens. It's also a very familiar situation for them both. So backups or not, it still should be a close game because the Pittsburgh offense is so piss poor going up against the Ravens defense that the backups are still really solid. I actually kind of like this total, and it seems like everyone agrees with me. It's at 36 right now, so it's really fucking low, but that's one that I will lean right now. So I'm leaning under 36 because I don't think that the Ravens are going to score a ton, and I don't think that Pittsburgh is either.
Yeah, this should be a fun one to start off our Week 18 slate. Only with 14,000 bets, so definitely be curious to see what happens. I said come Sunday, but I meant come Saturday. Moving to the Texans, -1.5 in Indianapolis. Obviously, we talked a little bit about the Colts playoff scenario, but 93% of the bets on the road favorite Texans and 98% of the money also on the Texans. Andy, what do you see about your favorite team here in the Colts?
Yeah, so to clinch the division, we have to win and Jacksonville loss or tie, or we tie and Jacksonville loses. So the obviously clinch the division gives us a playoff spot. Or we can just clinch the playoffs as a whole if we win just straight up. So when you're in, it just depends on Jacksonville if we're going to get the division or not. Or we can tie and Pittsburgh loses or ties. So I will be a big Ravens fan regardless of if I bet on them or not, because if the Ravens win, then the Colts tie, then we're in. I don't think there's going to be a tie here, DJ, despite it only being a 1-point spread that continues to teeter back and forth.
Did you guys tie last year?
What's up?
Did you guys tie last year? Or was it this? Yeah, last year?
We tied the first game of the year.
It
was our first non-loss in week 1 in like 10 years or something like that. I get that Stroud's good to go. He was good to go last week too. But I just think that we are going to be able to pick apart this Texans defense.
Yeah.
Their safeties leave a lot to be desired. Their middle linebackers leave a lot to be desired. Their defensive line is really solid, but we have one of the best offensive lines in the league. And these guys need to be given their flowers. It's also because they've stayed healthy, right? Because our line has stayed so healthy, the Colts have seen success. Somebody like Gardner Minshew, who was starting to have to bop around from team to team as a backup, is now thriving and 9-7 running our offense, with Taylor only playing for half the season and his best wide receiver being Michael Pitt. So I think that there's plenty to be said for this offensive line, but also for Shane Steichen for being able to scheme up such a phenomenal offense for what little assets he has available. On the flip side, for CJ Stroud and company, it's still just Nico Collins as their wide receiver 1. Noah Brown has been filling in nicely as their wide receiver 2, but that offensive line has some gaps in it up the middle. Left guard Scruggs, as well as their center Dieter, leave a lot to be desired, as well as Heck, according to PFF, is below the 45th percentile for right tackles this season. That is really fucking bad, ladies and gentlemen. So going up against Stewart, Buckner, Pay on the Colts defensive line is going to be a nightmare for these guys. They're not going to be able to get the running game going. They really haven't a lot this season. Singletary's been okay at best, in my opinion. So it's really on our corners, our linebackers, to be able to shut that down. And I do feel like we are going to be fine in that sense. EJ Speed, although he's not the most highest rated guy on PFF, has been solid for us at times this year, as well as Moore. I absolutely love Kenny Moore, and I think that he's going to have a big game against Nico Collins, shutting that down for Stroud. So this isn't going to be the easiest game for Stroud, like many people think, because DJ, as we sit here Wednesday night, 93% of the bets and 98% of the money are on the Texans.
Yeah,
so
that's crazy.
I need to double check on our partner's bet stamp. Be sure to use code HAPPY when you sign up with them on what the best odds are for the Colts, because I'm going to be taking them straight up to win, and I'm probably going to tease them if I can find them +1 or +1.5, but may have to wait on that +1.5 because it's only on a couple of books. Yeah, we're +1 everywhere now. So I'll take the Colts +1 officially for a unit. I think that we outmatch this team. The Texans are not as red hot as they once were. The public still thinks that they are red hot. Look at how many people are betting on them. And the matchups are favorable despite us likely having inferior personnel at wide receiver to them, I have to say. Even though a lot of their guys came onto the scene this season, I still feel like our wide receiver, we need one more really solid wide receiver before we can say we have better wideouts than they do. I think that we're going to be able to get the run game going on the outside. That defensive line is really solid for them, but if we're able to kind of run down the sides instead of trying to run it up the middle, we should see some success. And I can't wait for this one, man. I hope that we completely just beat their faces in.
I can tell. I mean, I asked you what you thought about Colts and their playoff chances, and I got about a 5-minute rant. I like it though.
Was it a rant or was it thoughtful analysis?
Thoughtful analysis. There you go. I mean, it's not the worst takes in the world. I like what you said about the Texans defense. I think the Colts offense is really going to have a good time moving against the Texans defense, which is why I like the over. 66% of the bets also on the over, as well as 61% of the money. I think CJ Stroud is going to, despite not having all of his weapons that he's had this entire season, I think he's going to be fine against this Colts defense. I think you guys have had a relatively lackluster strength of schedule, especially given the quarterbacks that you guys played, and given what CJ Stroud has done this year in his rookie year, I think he'll be able to at least put up some points, just like you guys, like there were in the first meeting between you guys. I think it was like a 30-20 game. So total set of 46.5 or 47.5 now. I like the over. I think both teams are going to be able to score, especially with that Shane Steichen and Gardner Minshew thought bubble.
Yeah, and Indy is still the best team to the over this season. They are 11-5 to the over. They were best ATS, but they have slipped up a little bit against the spread towards the end of the season. Still 9-7, which puts them near the top of the ranks against the spread, but that's led by Baltimore and Detroit, once again, one of the best teams against the spread. So, yeah, I don't mind the over either, Deej. I think that CJ Stroud will find a way to score points, but I don't think it's going to come as easily as many people think it is, since everyone and their mother is slamming the Texans for no reason.
Yeah, exactly. Moving to Browns +7 in Cincinnati. Crazy to see these lines now with obviously people missing. Browns +7, 79% of the bets and 60% of the money on them, giving the Bengals an actually nice 19% sharp differential. Browns have nothing to play for. They are already in the playoffs, and I believe they are now sitting Joe Flacco, which is why you see this line at +7. What an interesting game now that we have to, looking through the offseason looking glass, we'd see week 18, what a game. Joe Burrow versus Deshaun Watson fighting for the AFC North, right? Bengals, Browns, no, not even close. So I don't know if I have any leans here aside from, the fact that maybe the under, total set at 37.5, under 87% of the bets and 96% of the money. It's not like there's going to be a lot of incentive for the Browns here, but their defense has been great. And, Jake Browning, I wouldn't say the jury's out on him, but his rise and shine and weeks of fame, I think, are kind of behind him. So I don't see
as has happened to plenty of backup quarterbacks now that are not named Joe Flacco.
Yes, exactly. And obviously, Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl MVP, so got to give him his props where they're due.
I'm not touching this one. I don't have any idea what's going to happen because there's too many players out for the Browns, and the Bengals should never be catching 7 points, as we have seen when, as you touched on, their form has deteriorated. Browning has enough tape out on him now that people are able to figure it out, and his backup quarterback is showing. So every one of their others on the under. Overs are trending up. Maybe we take a look at the over since there will be some Browns defensive players sitting out. Maybe that's a nice little look for us. I don't know. That's going to be one that I'm going to look at close to game time because that total has gone all the way down from 46 to 37. So why not us? But we'll see. I'm not totally convinced on that one yet.
Sure. Yeah, neither have I. The spread is kind of large. I agree with you. Bengals -7 seems like just pretty much inflated. Speaking of inflated lines, Panthers +4.5 at home. 63% of the bets on the Bucs, 90% of the money on Carolina. I backed Carolina last week, and it was absolutely an awful decision. But similar to, I think, the Steelers game here, the Panthers kind of have a chance to play spoiler. Not necessarily where the Steelers had the chance to play spoiler, but this is a divisional game, obviously, with a home underdog. But the Panthers can prevent the Bucs from getting into the playoffs. So, what are your thoughts after the Dave Tepper incident, Andy? Do you think the Panthers will bounce back?
Yeah, there was a petition started either yesterday or today by the Charlotte faithful here to get that guy out of office as the owner of the Panthers and owner of Charlotte FC too. Totally in favor of that. The guy's a scumbag. The guy has no idea what he is doing running a franchise, much less running two in the city of Charlotte. So nobody really likes him because he's done a pretty shitty job at both. I think that this Panthers defense continues to go under the radar. Nobody's really talking about it, and a lot of these games have been pretty low scoring on their end. I get that. I think they lost, 23-0 last week, or maybe it was a bit more. Mm-hmm. I totally get that. But when the offense is just on and off the field so quick, the defense is going to be on the field for 50 minutes. Yeah, and then eventually you're going to let in some points. Their defensive line has been spectacular. The safety game is really solid. The corners are also solid. And I love their linebackers. I love me some Frankie Louis, man. I think Louis is a stud. The issue is Evans is having one of the best seasons ever. He's scoring a shit ton of touchdowns this year. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we're going to get like the familiarity piece here with division rivals or if it's just going to be Evans cooking on that left-hand side. Godwin has been a bit disappointing as of late, in my opinion. But this could be a nice spot for him to step up as they are trying to get a playoff spot. Where I'm concerned is the middle of that offensive line is terrible. They don't have a single guy rated above 55 according to PFF. So that ranks most of their guys in the bottom, because there's only about 79, 80 guards. That ranks both of their offensive guards are in the bottom third of offensive guard play this year, and their center Hainsey is 30th out of 36 centers. Like that middle is just going to get beaten up by DJ Burns and by Brown. So I do really like the Panthers to be able to get to Baker. We have seen Baker pretty solid scrambling this year, though. So how much of a difference is that going to make? Yeah, my knee-jerk reaction at first was to go Tampa and just say, yeah, the Panthers have been horrible, but I think this is going to be a stay away for me because the Panthers have all the motivation in the world to just let their division rival get fucked here in Tampa Bay. And also, it's been a running joke here in Charlotte. Like, the away fans are always show up because, unfortunately, the home team has been so bad for a while now. Do you know a single Buccaneers fan in person, DJ? Because I'm not sure I do. So I don't know how many Buccaneers fans there will be here. I don't know if they're going to get that big of an advantage. But, yeah, maybe if the tickets are cheap, actually, no, Liverpool plays on Sunday. I'm not going. So,
yeah, it's not the best matchup. I think the Panthers are a good buy spot here, which is why you see so much money percentage on them right now, especially after, being 7-point dogs and a lot of people liking them and then failing to cover last week. Kind of getting the same kind of treatment here. It's not like the Bucs should necessarily be 5-6 points better than most teams right now in the NFC or the NFL. Maybe this is more like a 3-point-ish type of game, so you're just getting 1.5 points of value on the Panthers. So I think that's a good play. I'm staying away just because every time I feel like I back the Panthers, it just goes poorly, and their offense really makes life difficult for their defense. And while their defense is improved over the course of the entire season, it's just sometimes it's not enough, exactly like you said last week, where when you're on the field for 50 minutes, it's just impossible to play. It's impossible to win a game. And your offense scores 0 points as well. So,
yeah, I mean, I exaggerated the time of possession there, but it probably was pretty close to 50.
It wasn't good, that's for sure. Moving to another great offense, Jets plus 2.5 in New England. And I actually really like the Jets here, Andy.
I was going to give you the choice just not to cover this game, but now you're actually going to give me a reason why you want to bet the Jets. All right, let's hear it.
The issue is I don't have much analysis. It's just how bad the Patriots have been this year, especially when public money and sharp differential are on the Patriots, which is exactly what we have here. We have 74% of the bets on the Patriots as home favorites, 95% of the money, a 21% sharp differential. Who's to say what will happen on Sunday? This is one of the least bet games of the slate. No surprise there.
Probably stay that way.
Yeah, obviously. But one of the reasons that I'm saying this all is the Patriots this year are 2-4 ATS when the public backs them. That's happening. 3-8 when the money backs them this year. And then also 4-7 ATS when the sharp differential is on them. All of those are in play this week, as is, it's not a good spot. They're a terrible team, ATS, and their offenses time and time again proves how bad they are. The Jets obviously neither of these teams have anything to play for. I think public and money are slamming the Patriots because it's Bill Belichick's maybe his last home game, and people are like, okay, what'll happen? And that's why I love the Jets.
I'm glad you brought up that final point, because what I was going to say is the Patriots have every reason in the world to lose, because right now the Patriots, the Cardinals, and the Commanders are all 4-12, and the Bears have locked up the number 1 pick because they have the Panthers pick at 2-14. All the momentum has now moved from the Bears trading that pick, trading Justin Fields and keeping the pick to take Caleb Williams. To all the Bears fans are chanting that they want to keep Fields. Everyone in the media is now like, oh yeah, they should keep Fields. Like, he's been looking good lately.
It's been
Fields
a stock
also had a
market
late
with
season.
Justin Fields.
Oh yeah, dude. As a dynasty Justin Fields holder, it is a absolute roller coaster. But I have to say that this also happened at the end of last season, with Justin Fields, where he just skyrocketed right at the end. And everyone was so hype about him going into this year, and then he sucked at the beginning, then he got hurt, and now he's figuring it out. I think it's a feel-good story for him to stay. I don't know what's going to happen. What I do know is that the Commanders have already come out and said they desperately want Caleb Williams. And on the off chance that the Bears are unable to trade that pick and something crazy happens, they take Marvin Harrison Jr. number 1 overall, then number 2 overall gets the best quarterback in the draft. So why would the Patriots have any incentive to lose? And right now they have the tiebreaker at our 31st. I totally get your Jets play. You're thinking with the Jets there in that sense, because it's taboo for people to talk about. People don't like to talk about tanking in the NFL, especially. It's pretty openly talked about in the NBA, so I welcome it. But I do think that that's an angle that needs to be discussed in this game. I'm not confident enough to suggest taking the Jets because of that final point you raised. If it is indeed Belichick's last game, he is going to want to figure out a way to beat the Jets. I don't think that he can. Is the issue? If he wanted to try to win games, he would have been trying all year. So why would he just not magically pull something out with the shitty personnel that he has? Bailey Zappi is horrible, bro.
This is going to be
bad.
Last year when these guys played at the end of the year, I think it was week 16 or 17, the game finished fucking 7-3 on a Patriots field goal or punt return touchdown. This is exactly what's going to happen. I love the under. I think the Jets end up winning it, though.
Didn't the Pats beat the Bills in a snow game last year, like 3-0, I think it was?
Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense with the Patriots.
No.
They suck ATS. So do the Jets, but the Pats are worse. All right, let's move on.
Do you want to hear something? You want to hear a crazy proposal?
Okay, I'm here.
What if we tease the Jets?
I was thinking about it. Don't worry, I was thinking about it.
What if we tease the total is 30.5. So you're getting 8.5 point buffer on a 30.5 point total.
Yeah,
we got 22 points to work with there.
We're gonna have a lot of games that we can find another one for that. Let's keep it open.
Yeah, I'm 100% keeping that open. But you know one team I'm not going to tease them with, DJ?
Let's hear it.
It's the Minnesota Vikings at plus 3.5. Right now they have 33% of the bets and 59% of the money, which is a 26% sharp for those of you who don't have a calculator in front of you. The total has gone down from 50.5 to 45.5. That could be an opening day one from over the summer, but I do believe that this is a strange one because everyone's slamming the over. For me, I think the strangest here is the spread is so close. The Lions are pissed after what happened last week. They are furious, and there is a world where they could get some better playoff seeding. And you're telling me that Dan Campbell's going to sit guys? Like, they're so mad at the Cowboys after what happened last week. They're going to try everything in their power to get that 2 seed, especially because the Rams have looked so good recently. Why the hell would you want to be the 3 seed and go up against them? Like, everybody's going to be like, I'd much rather have that 2 seed to try to either get to play the likely the Packers, because I don't think they're going to lose to the Bears, but we'll talk about that when we get there. It'll be either the Packers or one of the NFC South teams that sneaks in, which is disgusting to think about. That is a possibility. The Falcons or the Vikings could sneak in as a result of this game. So not only are they trying to thin out the Vikings playoffs hopes and keep them out of the playoffs, I think they're also pissed. So I think the spread is too short, DJ, and I don't care. I said that I thought the public was going to regress. I'm going to back the public here. Give me the Vikings minus 3.5. I mean, give me the Lions minus 3.5. Yeah, screw the Vikings. I think that the quarterback switch they made too was embarrassing. I think Hall is horrible. He looked terrible.
Well, yeah, Nick Mullins is officially starting now. So
okay, cool. He still has. Give me the Lions.
Yeah, Nick Mullins is back, but I'm with you. This is one that I think the public is going to get right. We said the public went 11-5 ATS in Week 18 in 2022. This is one I think they also get right. I mean, Lions this year have been 8-2 ATS when the public backs them, Andy. That's all the more reason to back them. 8-2 ATS when the public backs the Lions, which is exactly what we have here on Sunday, in a motivation game where they can still improve their seeding. I am a bit nervous that they might, get up to a big lead and take some players out in the second half. Although maybe they handle things and their defense.
Yeah, but they'd have to only win by 3 then.
Yeah,
it'd have to be pretty secure before they get to that point. And we're also talking about MCDC here, right? MCDC is going to be the last person to pull guys out. In fact, I'm sure he's going to get critiqued for not pulling them out soon enough once they start to beat up on this Vikings defense. The Vikings defense does have some solid names, though. And Flores deserves some credit for that because this defense was abysmal last year. It was so bad. He's turned that around. But as many names they have on defense, the Lions have equally as many. Anzalone's been solid. Branch has been great. Hutchinson, obviously, we know him. He's a god. There's a lot of really solid dudes here. And despite having 2 of the best wide receivers in Addison and Jefferson, I just don't think it's going to be enough for Mullins, for Hall, for Josh Dobbs, who's inactive. Rest in peace, my boy. Bring him back.
The
Lions defense would be a different story. I might be taking the Vikings.
Yeah, I know you would. The Lions defense worries me a little bit, but I don't think they're bad enough to lose at home in the final game of the season to the Vikings. And if they win, they will do so by more than a field goal. If this gets to 3, I'm taking it immediately. But we'll see what it is on Sunday. Maybe it'll probably go in the direction of the Lions. Honestly,
give me that hook. Fuck it.
Yeah, especially after they played 2 weeks ago and were 2.5 point favorites in Minnesota. Now they're 3.5 point favorites at home. Doesn't quite make sense to me. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. So I'm with you on the Lions, but I'm not ready to take it. Moving to Jags -5.5 in Tennessee. Another AFC South divisional matchup. Titans plus 5.5, 70% of the bets, and 98% of the money, Andy. Vrabel is a home dog.
Fuck that. No. The Jag.
My favorite setting this year.
Is Lawrence active? Trevor Lawrence is questionable.
He's questionable. Yep.
Christian Kirk is out, but I saw that he might be back for the playoffs. Zay Jones is also questionable. Agnew is also out. Who are they going to throw to? Here's some
Calvin Ridley.
Here's some really good stats for you. Where you go?
Don't forget Calvin Ridley.
Titans are 0-4 in the last 5 games. Titans are 0-3 in the last 5 against the spread. Titans are 2-6 in their road games against the spread this season.
Oh, Jesus.
Wait, why does it have them as a road? It's a stupid stat. They're at home. Thanks, Action Hour.
Bet the Titans. Vrabel's a home dog, Andy. Let's throw him in with the
Jaguars
Jets.
are 4-2 on the road against the spread this year.
Wow.
That makes no sense. They've only played 6 road games. Oh, maybe they counted London as neutral then because they had 2 London games. That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're actually pretty good on the road. And they were good in London, too. Well, this game is not in London. It is in Nashville. Total is sitting at 39.5. It feels a little low, doesn't it? I guess the Titans' offense is horrible.
It feels a bit high.
You think so?
No Trevor Lawrence in this fucking Titans offense. Divisional game. Oh, it's ugly as hell. I'm trying to find a reason to not bet the Titans.
You can have at it. I'm not doing it. I know you love these guys, but I don't. I really don't.
It's just like the Steelers and Ravens game. It's a team that has to win, and versus a team with no motivation and a good coach. Will I throw them in a teaser with the Jets? Maybe.
11.5.
Get over the key numbers of 7 and 10. It might be.
I mean, that is 2 key numbers. It's not what I would advise to do, but it is 2 key numbers. I'll give you that.
It's a fun one. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like I have a lot of things to say about this game because I don't. But Same. I do lean the Titans, so I'm going to leave it at that.
Yeah, this is one of those I don't have a lot to offer either. Just, hey, God willing that the Jags lose because it helps the Colts.
There you go. Moving to Falcons +3 in New Orleans. 62% of the bets on Atlanta, 96% of the money also on Atlanta. Only 5,000 bets, obviously, because we are sitting here recording on Wednesday. I'm not sure how I feel about this. The Saints have been so weird, so wonky all season, and I backed them at a teaser last week, and they ultimately won the game. They ended up beating the Bucs 23-13. And that's kind of where I feel their value is. Like they can beat teams like the Bucs that have looked really good, and like the Bucs were on a surge, and the Saints were like at a low point, and now they've kind of bounced back. And the question is, can they still hold that and win the AFC South? Do they win the NFC South or with a win?
So your Bucs playoff loss? Scenarios here, because this is a big one. This is a big one for playoff implications. Atlanta's simple. It clinched the NFC South division title with a win and a Tampa loss at 7-9, and that's their only path in.
Yeah, because they're 7-9, but the Saints are 8-8. So if the Saints win, they win the division, right?
It's not that simple for the Saints. So the Saints have to win plus a Tampa Bay loss or tie to get the division, or they can tie and Tampa loses.
I love the tie scenarios. I love the tie scenarios.
Yeah, it's crazy that their division title scenarios have less stipulations than they're just to clinch the playoffs, because all these teams have such bad records.
Yeah,
to clinch the playoffs, so not even to get the division, New Orleans has to win plus Seattle loss or tie plus Green Bay loss or tie, or win in Seattle. They can tie and then Seattle loses and Green Bay loses.
So the NFC South, it goes through Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay wins, they win the South.
That is correct, and they have the easiest matchup of them all.
Yeah, okay, against the Panthers, obviously.
I just feel like, and I know I gave a lot of credit to the Panthers defense there. I'm getting sidetracked, but like, it just feels like a layup that they get it done. but that 4.5 spread is just too funky for me. Like somebody who has never really bet on the game before, but like, is an NFL fan,
it'd be
they'd be like,
Bucksy.
oh yeah, 4.5, I put my money there. But I feel like I've just been scarred by those for so long that it's borderline a disadvantage that I am thinking that way.
That's what Vegas wants you to think. They're exactly
Yeah.
what you want.
It is 100%.
Similar to the last game, I'm not sure I want to take a side. Like at the end of the day, it's going to be whose quarterback comes out and plays better. Is it Derek Carr? Is Heineke playing, or is it fucking Desmond Ridder again? It's probably Heineke, right?
It's Heineke.
Yeah. So if Heineke's looks okay in his offense, if he can get the ball rolling, it's not like either defense is really that great. Both of these teams are in the last two of strength of schedule played. I don't see an edge that we can find in this one, so I'm gonna stay away.
I don't blame you. It would be all time for me to just go out on my fading the Falcons all year and just side with the Saints at home. But God, that offense is trash. It's so bad. Kamara's the only saving grace in that team, and Olave has unfortunately had a worse year than last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Derek Carr has not been what they wanted, so it's definitely going to be a rebuild if they manage to not make the playoffs. Even if they do make the playoffs, I'm not sure they're going to do really that well. I guess they probably might play us. I don't know how the whole playoff scenario plays out.
Yeah, so like they would get let's just assume that
Saints get in.
Their only way in is to get the division.
Yeah.
They would play you because you guys are
we'd be
the 5 seed right now. But I mean,
Yeah.
hey, it's Cowboys, Lions, and Eagles all 11-5. So you guys could shoot up.
No, the best we could get. No, not if the Lions, but if the Cowboys. Yeah, you're right. I don't think the Cowboys
Lions and
are gonna
Cowboys
lose.
both lose, and
Yes.
you guys win, and you get the 2 seed.
Let's talk about that game. Cowboys minus 13 in Washington. 13-point favorites on the road. 62% of the bets on the Cowboys, 80% of the money with an 18% sharp differential toward the Cowboys. This is the quintessential, like what we didn't talk about, a team that has nothing with a terrible coach, Ron Rivera, versus a Cowboys team that has everything to play for. It's exactly what happened last week with the Eagles last week against the fucking Cardinals, and then the Eagles last week before that against the Giants. However, which is why I like the Commanders here, because I think they just have a really good opportunity to prevent the Cowboys from, at least to score. Their Cowboys defense is pretty good, but just as a divisional home dog, you have to kind of take the 13 points here, in my opinion. Although the Cowboys look like a team that, can really beat down on the bad teams, but not necessarily beat the good teams. So it's a bit worrisome, and probably why it's only a lean for me right now.
Does Ron Rivera know they've been eliminated from the playoffs?
Probably
he didn't know
not.
that this time last year.
No,
I think that they still have a chance. So you have to bake that into your calculation of this game when you're breaking it down. With that in mind, I'm out on this one. I have no clue. I feel like the Commanders have been that team where whenever it's a double-digit spread, or they were like 7-point favorites twice, I faded them both times that they were like a touchdown favorite and won. And then these other times they've been huge underdogs. And did they cover last week or no?
Who?
The Commanders. No, they did not. They lost 27-10. But that game they were more competitive against the Niners than I thought. Like that one,
they did look
looking to be a lot closer than it should have been. So I think that's where my confusion came from.
My favorite, quarterback this year, Sam Howell, back against, back playing. So I want to back the Commanders here. I'm not going to say I'm going to do it right now. Let's look at some trends. So the public is currently on Dallas, 6-5 ATS when the public's on Dallas, 5-5 when the money's on Dallas, 3-2 ATS when the sharp's on them. So nothing too crazy there. I think you have to back the home dog. I think the Commanders are actually going to be able to move the ball against Dallas, which will be a surprise to some. So especially if it gets to 14, absolutely take that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm sitting out. There's way too many factors here.
Moving
factors I don't like.
Let's go to Chiefs +4 in LA. Another, obviously, everything's a fucking divisional game. 82% of the bets.
How many 4 o'clock games do we have?
There's 14 games, Andy. What do you expect them to do?
I know, but no. Normally they front load the 1 o'clock, not the 4:25.
Chiefs +4, 82% of the bets, 71% of the money, giving the Chargers an 11% sharp differential. Clearly, I mean, this is another one of the quintessential things. You get a road favorite with something to play for versus a home dog with nothing to play for. I mean, I'm going to want to lean Chargers, but I really don't have any reason to back it. The Chiefs, I think the Chiefs are just coasting into the playoffs and then are going to turn a jet on. But it's not like their offenses looked like they can turn any jets on. Like Patrick Mahomes has looked questionable, and the defense is kind of playing a little bit worse than they have all season. So it's a weird spot for the Chiefs right now, and to see them as an underdog now. Who's to say what's going to happen? Obviously, I don't think with that line Mahomes is playing, but I don't know.
I'm not proud of it, but when I was drunk the evening of New Year's Day, after the college football playoff had concluded and the college football championship line arose and Washington was +4.5 against Michigan, I teased the Chiefs when they were +2 with the Washington Huskies. Because I did no research. I was just like, oh, the Chiefs are a dog. Let's tease them. And first of all, I'm not proud of it because they're current form. Second of all, I'm not proud of it because there's going to be so many guys sitting out. I'm sure. Because they're locked up. And do they have the tiebreaker over the Browns? I think they do. So
yeah, Mahomes is out. So that's all you really need to know. Everyone else on their offense sucks, and that's about it.
Yeah. The thing is, though, the Chargers also really, really suck.
They do. Easton's sick. I mean,
he's horrible. And the total is just too low where it's like I can't take a fade of lack of action here. 35 was insane. Like, if you thought that there'd ever be a 35 total for a Chiefs game, then check that off your bingo card. But again, this is just a lack of analysis one for me. I tried to fill it with a funny story, but ultimately, I'm not doing anything here.
One thing I'm seeing, if everything holds, Miami comes to Kansas City. That would mean Tyreek Hill returns to Kansas City for the playoffs, if everything holds. So that's really interesting.
Miami is the 2 seed and Chiefs are the 3.
But if the Bills, I guess it depends of who wins. If the Bills win, they get the spot.
Oh yeah, very true. Yeah,
sorry,
true.
I should say because the Bills are favored. So that's what I meant. But interesting storyline nonetheless. But obviously does not matter anything for this game. I'm not touching it. I might take a total. I might take the under just because I don't really believe. I don't even know who's the backup because now they don't have Chad Henne anymore. So I don't even know who the backup for the Chiefs is, and Easton's sick. It's like I don't know. Maybe I'll just back the public when I don't know what to do. They seem to know what to do on in these types of games.
We've got Easton Stick taking on Blaine Gabbert.
Blaine Gabbert, Jags legend.
Yeah, whatever. Valdez Scantling is the 122nd out of 125 wide receivers, according to PFF, at a 50.4.
Yeah, RP Patrick Mahomes, man. He went from Tyreek Hill to that. That's upsetting. He went from Tyreek to Juju to that. Excuse me.
And one season wonder Richie James from the Giants last year.
Rasheed Rice is good though. You got to give him that.
Yes, yeah, he'll continue to grow.
All right, moving to Philly. Philly -3.5 in New York. The line's 4.5. I don't know why I wrote 3, so apologies there. Giants, 69% of the bets, 85% of the money. Obviously, this is, in my opinion, this is one of the ones where I actually really like the Eagles as road favorites because there is, I mean, I live in Philadelphia, so I get all of the fucking Philadelphia media, and they are absolutely battering this team. This is not a must win, but it's a must win for the culture and for like Philadelphia fans in general. I like the fact that you're getting the public and the money here on the Giants. I think people are going to be a bit surprised when the Eagles
line movement too.
Yeah, when the Eagles were 13-point favorites last week or 2 weeks ago against the Giants, now they're 4.5-point favorites. I think it's a bit of an overreaction. I think this line is too much for, the Giants defense, the Eagles defense is terrible and should have a lot of opportunities to allow points to be scored by Tyrod Taylor and this Giants offense. But the main crux of the game on Christmas Day when we played the Eagles or played the Giants was the turnover for Boston Scott at the kickoff at a halftime where he fumbled on the 10 and then we let up a touchdown. One massive play from Darius Slayton, like an 86-yard touchdown or whatever, and a pick six. Those were 3 easy touchdowns the Giants were given by the Eagles. So I think the Eagles eliminate those. They kind of wash the floor with New York, and I love Philly here.
Yeah, the last 5 times out, the Giants have not covered the spread against you guys. This 5-point spread that it's at now.
It's too
and
low.
The fact that it's moved from when you literally wrote -3 to -5 is just the fact that this is some early reverse line movement, and I am curious to see if that actually changes or if it's actually true reverse line movement in the sense that the data we're seeing here is true. I have no idea. There's only 7,000 bets in. I'm going to go ahead and lock in Eagles -5 for an official play because I'm 100% right there with you. If you guys don't win this game, it's not only a bad loss.
Yeah.
It's like just a morale deflator. You guys have been on such a schneid. You
100%.
have to come out and make a statement win because of what's been going on recently
100%.
with y'all's team. And you literally just did a week and a half ago. You were able to do it on Christmas Day. And that was your Christmas present. And now they're going to bring back the Christmas present for you and get the win again. The matchups are great. You guys have awesome matchups against their corners. You guys have an awesome matchup in the trenches offensively. I also think that defensively, even though the defense has left a lot to be desired down the stretch here in the second half of the season, and in my opinion, it showed some leaks the first half too, but you guys weren't as battle tested as you are now, and now it's coming out. But that offensive line for the Giants is so bad. It's so bad, man.
Yeah, our defensive line hasn't been great, and it's one of the talking points right now in Philadelphia. But I don't think it's going to be an issue. I think the major point is how we played it 2 weeks ago. Is the score did not define how we played. Like Jalen missed, yes, he threw a pick six, but Dallas Goedert slipped. Like there was a fumble on a kickoff return, and then one big play. Yes, that is very possible for our defense to happen again, but our offense, it's not like we can't score. Like we still scored 30-ish points against most teams this year. So,
yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate for left tackle Andrew Thomas because he's a pretty solid left tackle because the rest of his guys all rate below a 42 percentile according to PFF, which essentially means, folks, that they are in the bottom 10% of their position according to PFF this year. So yeah, but that offensive line is so bad, and that's where the Eagles are going to be able to get some confidence boost, in my opinion. Yes, I know the Giants put up 25 on them last time out. It's not happening again. I'll be looking at the Giants team total unders as well because there's going to be a lot of people that think this is going to be closer than it actually is because of last time, because they made it closer than last time, and it's time for the Giants to be exposed one last time before going into the offseason and having a lot to figure out.
I love it. I'm also going to rip -5. I see -4.5 on our partner BetStamp, so you're allowed to grab -4.5 for BetMGM.
Yes. Yeah, as long as it's not on like Profit Exchange, even though I love Profit Exchange's concept whenever it's legal here in North Carolina. I hope that we get them because I think it's really cool. But as long as it's not one of those, like I always give out just the bigger sports books because then whatever can grab it.
Yeah, whatever's accessible. But I agree. -4.5. Eagles.
Let's go. Team ride.
Moving to Denver, +3 in Vegas, where the Super Bowl will be held. 62% of the bets on Vegas, 76% of the money on the Broncos. 99% of the bets, Andy, currently sit on the under. Will there be any points scored in this game? What are your thoughts?
Yes, there will, because Russell Wilson's not playing. Yeah, and it's a non-playoff matchup too. Both are eliminated. I think it's so strange. Like there's an outside chance that the Broncos could do it, and they said, "Nah, we're good. We're good. We're just gonna bench Russ for the contract thing." If they care way more about the contract, I mean, sure, your chances were slim, but if you still have a chance, you should be going for it.
Yes, that's
so fucking lame by them.
Horrible.
I don't care what anyone says. Like the contract stuff is a serious thing, but if you have, what is the point of what is the point of mailing it in when you're going for it? Let's take a step back to the middle of the season. Kirk Cousins goes down. The Vikings were still in the middle of the road. but they looked at the NFC and they were like, yeah, there's still 3 open spots. All those wild card spots are for the taking. And they went out and got Josh Dobbs. And now they're just fucking rotating through guys trying their best to find a way to win. Like, that is the spirit of what this should be. Instead, the Broncos are like, nah, I'm good. I don't give a shit. So, literally, fuck that franchise for not trying. That is not the spirit of winning. They should all be ashamed of themselves. But John Elway especially. That guy's a traitor. And I think that we should see the Raiders bounce back after a valiant effort against the Colts. That is not just me passionately hating the Broncos. I do think that the Raiders have had a chip on their shoulder ever since bringing in Antonio Pierce. And sure, they weren't able to pull it off because my boys held them off from the finish line. But it would be out of the Raiders' spirit here to fold over to a team that is a bunch of quitters in the Denver Broncos. Don't you think, DJ? That's my so many stats and analysis in that thought and those thoughts that I just gave there. So much research put into that. What do you think?
I don't know which side to go with, really, realistically. I think the Broncos probably will not end up covering just because of the Antonio Pierce storylines and how abysmal their franchise has been at the end of this year. I don't think either team is really going to score many points. Like, the Raiders were barely doing anything against the piss poor, I wouldn't say piss poor, but the not so great Colts defense. I mean, he scored 20, but I think one was a defensive touchdown, right? So I just don't expect them to have much value against this improved defense from the Broncos that, when they have nothing to pray for. Like, Josh Jacobs is nursing an injury and he might get to play again, but I just don't see much happening in this game. So it's just don't really want to bet it other than the under.
Yeah, I don't blame you for leaning the under. I definitely don't. What I do a lot of times, I'll go on team rankings and just go to matchups and schedules, and then you click on the game you want to look at, and it puts all their rank, like what they rank and what the stat, like what the actual number is. And you'll see that all in my articles. It's like, I value that pretty heavily and reference it quite often. I don't see anything that stands out there because for what the Raiders record is and what for Denver's record is, like, they are both at the bottom in almost everything. And that's what's so amazing is that, after having a 7-9 and 8-8 record for both these teams, they're so bad. You know what is interesting though, DJ? Despite a 7-9 record, the Raiders are 9-6-1 ATS.
It's impressive. It's
genuinely impressive. Is impressive. It really is. It really is. That offensive line is fine. It's good. It's just the O'Connell thing that worries me. But we're going up against Jarrett Stidham.
Public's 4-2, Andy, back in the Raiders this year too. So you're on the right side.
Yeah. I'm going Raiders here. Official -2.5.
Oh, official.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
I've got 4 official plays. There's no article this week, so I got to unload now. Right.
I love it. We still got to find our second teaser leg with the Jets.
We'll get there.
Oh, I see one. We're okay. All right. Let's move to Rams +4.5 in San Francisco. 72% of the bets on the Rams, 85% of the money also on LA. Obviously, Niners have clinched the number 1 spot. Yes, that's official.
Yeah, but the Rams are starting Carson Wentz, so because they are also locked in.
Okay, so this game means nothing, essentially.
This game means nothing. And the total is a bit higher than I would anticipate for a game that means nothing.
Yeah, no Christian McCaffrey. There's not really much to say other than maybe back to the public.
Are they going to put Sam Darnold out there, I wonder?
Is it not official who they're playing at quarterback?
I'm not sure. I know it's not going to be Brock Purdy, but I'm saying, are they going to play the third string or are they going to play Sam Darnold? Because I feel like Sam Darnold's really good back. Yeah, they're going to play Darnold.
Yeah, they'll play Darnold. Yeah, so, I mean, it's a moot point who to back in this game. I mean, at the end of the day, like, the Rams realistically might want more wins. The Niners don't care. The Niners have a better team, therefore they likely have more backups that are better, but it's like, at the end of the day, I don't really fucking know what to do. Back the public in games like this, I'm going to say. That's my recommendation for everyone this week based on how they did last year. But obviously that's not indicative, so I'm just going to move on. Bears, Chicago, +3, 74% of the bets, 87% of the money on the Bears. Justin Fields against the Packers in Green Bay. what are our playoff prediction stuff here, Andy? The Packers.
The Packers are currently sitting in the 7th spot as it stands today, but they have 6 different scenarios for them to get a playoff berth. So first, winning they're in. It's as simple as that. There's 3 tie scenarios. The first one is they tie and then Seattle loses or ties and New Orleans loses or ties, or Green Bay ties, Seattle loses, or Tampa Bay loses, or Green Bay ties plus Seattle tie plus Tampa Bay loss or tie. And then there's a few that don't involve Green Bay whatsoever. So let's say Green Bay loses. They need a Minnesota loss or tie, that's going to happen. The Lions are going to thump them.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
Both 5 and 6, you need a Minnesota loss or tie. And the other scenario, they also need Seattle to lose in both of those. And they either need Tampa to lose or New Orleans to lose. Now, I don't think Tampa's going to lose. But New Orleans loss, maybe, against the Falcons. Who knows? That game, you and I had no clue what's going to happen. So let's just hope that Green Bay gets the win here. But Aaron Rodgers was talking a lot of shit on the Pat McAfee show for being a current Jets player, talking a lot of shit about the Bears. He's also talking shit about my boy Jimmy Kimmel, but that's a whole nother story. I lean Packers, but I don't have enough. I don't have the balls to take it because the Bears have been in pretty solid form recently, and the Packers have started to go back on an upward tick. It's no secret I have become a bigger Jordan Love fan this year, especially after getting to see him live in person. But I don't think that I have enough courage to take them against the Bears because the Bears have been so good. Now, Lambeau's going to be bumping. It's going to be an awesome home environment for them, but we'll see how that shakes out. I mean, everyone and their mother's betting the Bears. Do I want to fade the public in a historically great spot for the public in Week 18? I don't know. How do you feel about it?
My proposition was going to be to throw them in the second leg of the teaser with the Jets, the Bears, that is. It's either this or the Cardinals.
Or the Colts.
But the Bears and Justin Fields is better in the second half of the year with the backing of the public and a cold Lambeau night where he's going to run all over the Packers defense. In a game where
Packers defense has been pretty spotty, yes, but I really like this spot for them at Lambeau.
So you're not agreeing?
No, I don't.
That's okay.
I don't. I mean, I think I agree with you that we have to. Okay, actually, no, wait. What are we doing? Why don't we tease the Jets with the Ravens? Get the Ravens up to +10.
At home,
hosting the Steelers who can't score points. That total is 36, and the Jets total is 30.5. We're backtracking here. We're literally talking about it on the Bears and Packers analysis right now, but
yeah, I'm in. Let's get it.
That seems way better. Yeah,
I'm in.
Give me that for 1.5.
Yeah, we'll take that teaser. Okay, nice. Okay. Sorry for that on the Bears and Packers segment here. I like the Bears. That's why I wanted to throw them into teaser. I think this is it fits my, obviously I can't say this for every game, but fits my teams that don't need to win versus teams that need to win in the division type of narrative, which is why I like them. I like them because the politics on them. We talked about the public being really good in Week 18. So a couple non-really game script points here for me, but I just have a feeling that the Bears will manage to cover. I don't know about win, but at least get within a touchdown, which is why I liked the teaser.
Yeah.
Let's finish out the rest of these.
I don't blame you. It's definitely a more recent form thing for sure.
Yeah,
but something about Lambeau to get the boys into the playoffs to end the season, I really like for the Packers. Plus, I do think that it could be a bit of recency bias on the Bears here.
All right, yeah. Let's move to Seattle. Seattle -2.5 in Arizona +3. If you're looking at the Cardinal side, 52% of the bets on Cardinals money is also split, pretty much. I think the verdict's pretty much out on the Seahawks team, although I'm not sure the Cardinals are worth only 3 points. I think being favored by only 3 points is a little low for a Cardinals team coming off a pretty emotional win with Jonathan Gannon coming back against his former team. I think 3 is a bit of an overreaction, although we've talked about it all year with the Seahawks and how inconsistent they've been. It's like really finding a needle in the haystack, like which time you should back them. And I feel like I should be on the Seahawks here, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure I like it.
No, I'm not touching this game. There's too many stipulations that we read off in the playoff scenarios where it's like Seattle loss has to be one of them. And I'm not going to bank on anything here. I think the Cardinals draft pick comes into play a little bit. I know people don't like to talk about that, but they're 4-12, so they are tied right now. Well, tied. They have the same record right now as the Commanders and the Patriots. I believe they sit in the middle of them, so they're like 30th in the overall standings with tiebreakers included and such. I don't know how they do that with AFC versus NFC teams, but that's what it says right now. I'm staying clear away from this one. It's wild to me that there's a total this high in Week 18, but a total this high that isn't the next game we're about to talk about, Sunday Night Football. But no, I don't have anything here, man. This is one of those, like I said, it's a Week 18 game. It's okay to have a lack of analysis. I don't have any idea what's going to happen.
It's a coin flip for sure. Like you'd expect the Seahawks, just with what they've done the entire season, to be better and beat the Cardinals. Although last week they really ended poorly against the Steelers with that late fumble strip sack, which gave the Steelers an opportunity. And the Cardinals have just had a very big emotional win against the Eagles. So it's a really, really weird spot with especially a line at 3, 2.5 or 3.5. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, the Cardinals have played spoiler in some weird spots too since Kyler's come back. It's been, they haven't been doing as much as you would think. They didn't cover the spread against San Fran, even though they put up 29 on them, and then they did not cover 4.5 against Chicago on Christmas Eve.
Yeah,
then they ended up beating you guys outright as a plus 550 underdog. So this team is just so unpredictable. It's hard to put any money on it when there's so much on the line.
Yeah. I just go back to the spread thing too, being 13-point underdogs, and now 3-point underdogs to a team that beat the Eagles. It's just fun. It's wild to me. Bills -3, best game of the week in Miami. Bills favorites, AFC South or AFC East division on the line here. 54% of the bets on Buffalo, 77% of the money also on Buffalo. Total set at 50. It's definitely the highest of the week, right?
It is.
Yeah, highest of the week. People love the under right now. 89% of the bets on the under, 98% of the money on the under. I would be very curious to see what will happen come Sunday with those numbers, given assuming most of the earlier bets that are placed is more relatively professional money. I'm not going to say it's all professional money, but if the public sees this game as like, okay, just take the over in the fucking Dolphins and Bills game, it's kind of like the Chiefs and Bills of old. So very curious to see what happens to the total as the week goes on. I right now I like the under, but do you take a surging Bills team with an opportunity to get back to where everyone thought they would be at the end of the season, or a Dolphins team with no defense and an injured offense, right? Tyreek Hill looked banged up. Obviously Mostert's a question mark and didn't play last week. Which side do you go? I want to lean Dolphins as the home dog. I think that's definitely just right now, especially if the line were to get to 3.5, that's the side I'd want to be on. But I don't know. Josh Allen has so much drive, it feels like, to win a game like this and to prove to Buffalo that he's still that guy. But now he's got to do it on the road. It's going to be an amazing game. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, this one will be super exciting. I just go back to the Dolphins not really being able to do much at all against teams with a winning record this season. It quite literally comes down to that simple of an analysis for me. I think that the Bradley Chubb injury too is a really big deal. That's going to play a factor in this one. I also think too, like, Tua has not really looked that great recently, and I don't know if that's I don't know if there's some other stuff going on. I mean, I know his weapons have been a bit limited from what they were, right? And Waddle's been out, and so has Tyreek Hill is once again questionable on the depth chart. So Raheem Mostert also questionable. It's just it's tough. You don't know what weapons he's going to have against his Bills team, and again, I mean, at the same time, there's also some Bills defensive injuries. So I'm more excited to watch this game than bet on it. I will have a bet on it by game time, but to your point about the money and bets coming in on the under, it's a little too early for me to tell if that's actionable or not.
I like the
I
under.
almost want to go over.
I don't
think
think
that
the
the Dolphins are still going to get like. I feel like this is like a 31-21 or 31-24 final is what it feels like with both. Because I still don't think the Bills defense has been better recently, but I still don't think they're that good.
Yeah.
And like the Dolphins put up some significant points against them last time out, where the Bills won 48-20, but the Dolphins still were able to get 20.
Yeah, that's why I want to wait to see what happens with. I want to know which side the totals moved down. I think it was 50 at one point. So some of it is obviously professional money. I'm not sure if like the public's going to really be slamming this over because it was 48-20 in game one. Is everyone just being like, okay, now we're flip flopping? And if so, then I'm going to be a little bit curious about where people stand because the Dolphins defense is not great, and we know that. However, it's the question mark with will the Dolphins be able to put up points against the good recently Bills defense that allowed 10 points to the Cowboys a couple weeks ago. And, so it's really difficult to see where we're going to stand. But yeah, this is definitely one that will be fun to watch come Sunday night. It's definitely the best game to put on for Sunday night. And hopefully Tyreek and Mostert can get healthy and we can get a classic AFC East divisional matchup that we had for 20 years.
Yeah, I'm excited. That game's gonna for all these games that have such uncertainty, the NBC crew actually picked the right one to flex into Sunday Night Football after previously having a couple whiffs earlier. So
yeah, all the Broncos and Raiders games we got earlier in this season, thank God, we moved away from that, and the Jets.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But it's been an awesome time, Andy. I mean, this is the end of the regular season. Next time we'll be talking a little less games, more playoffs. Can't wait for that. As always, this is Sharpen the Public, the only place we talk about public betting data for every NFL game every week. Thanks for hanging with us on Deej at DJH Sports at DJH Sports on Twitter. That's Andy at AndyHH Sports on Twitter. We post a lot of our articles on happyhoursports.net, post on YouTube now. So as always, please like, comment, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Appreciate all the support of the podcast. It's been a crazy season.
It has been a crazy season. I can't believe that the regular season is about to be over, but excited to see how these shake out and was happy that I was able to give out 5 plays on a slate that is otherwise pretty tough to read. So that could be to my detriment, but hey, they are all on games that matter. So, well, unless we're talking about the Raiders in Denver, but that's another story.
And the Jets teaser.
Yeah, hey, it's a 30-point total. You got to tease it.
Got to end the season with a Sharpen the Public teaser. You have to.
100%.
Well,
we literally just tease 2 teams that have no incentive whatsoever to win, but that's fine. That's what
we love to see. All right. As always, guys, we appreciate the support. Love you guys. Thank you, as always, for listening, and we'll see you next week in the playoff matchups.
Cheers, everybody. The boys bet better with beer.